This vidu you can say because it's hard for you to say it. Or sisi sonny, I did everything you commanded me. You can't be. Now this also answers a point that L'chaira Shiva years ago asked this question: Would the Kohen Hanim Gedol liars like Shimon Tzadik, Ezra Sefer? I mean, whatever you have the Aaron HaKohen, whatever it is, they have to say every year on the Korban of Isi Peshaiti, of Isi Peshaiti. He didn't do any Averis. So how could he say of Isi Peshaiti? He didn't do any Averis. So Shiva said, that goes on the SS. A lot even we don't do usually. At least not b'mezid for sure. I'm all maybe shaygig, but nobody goes and eats treif. No going in the S's though. You know, like Krishma Bisman. I can't say we don't put on tzitzis, and I can't say we don't put on film. But we learn Krishma Bisman. That's probably the biggest one that we don't do. And the question is, why did you not learn Krishma Bisman? So all of the things of Chotosi, of Isi Peshaiti, I forgot this man. I forgot I didn't learn yet. Whatever it is there, that's the Chotosi. Of Isi, I wanted to sleep a little longer. I could have gotten out of bed. I was there. I was up. But I wanted to sleep a little longer. And the other one says, I went there bedafke not to get up now, because this is the time I'm going to have fun, and that's it. And therefore, so I have in all three of them a shaykh and an essa. Not doing an essa. So for that, I'm asking for tshuva. So my chatoim essa is not love. And that everybody does. That's why he says, Ein tzadik b'otos lo yechto, doesn't go on the love. Love is the person doesn't do a love. But on the S's, we don't do. And you'll say, so S is a big deal. You see, you can't say big deal because in attitude, it's probably worse than a love. So if you're a marshal, obviously not every love is going to be that way, but I'll give you a certain love that's shaykh. An army has been fighting for the last 48 hours, pitched battle. Baruch Hashem, they won the field, and they have to set up a perimeter, and they want to set up sentries in order in case there's a, a counterattack. So they have to put up these guys. Now, everybody's dead tired. So when he asks for volunteers, nobody volunteered. So he goes around, he says, okay, we need 5 volunteers, you, and you. And the guy has no choice. He is now appointed to go. If he falls asleep, they will kill him. They will shoot him the next day because he put everybody in danger. He didn't mean to. Yeah, but we can't let that get away with it, because if he gets away with it, another person will say, I'm going into sleep anyway. Nobody's around. That way, so we have to be careful that people understand they kill for such things. So we're going to kill him. We all understand why he did it. Not that he was a bad person. Just couldn't stay up anymore. Okay? Does he deserve to die? I don't know what you want to call that. The pastor says the chet deserves misa. Right? Does he deserve? Okay, that's a question. You can think that that's a court martial for that. But they're going to shoot him. But we all have Rahmanas on him, even as we shoot at him. I hope there for the God, for the grace of God, go I. So what do they think? It's not me, Baruch Hashem. On the other hand, an Essa is the Ben Shem is asking you, do me this favor. I need this. I want this. And it's like, imagine by a melech, he asks you to get him a cup of coffee. And you go out to get him a cup of coffee, and you meet a friend you haven't seen in a while. And you push it, start schmoozing. And you forget about the cup of coffee. And when you come back to the melech, after finishing talking for a half hour or so, and you don't have the cup of coffee, you say, where's my cup of coffee? Oh, I forgot. I'll go get it the next minute. That's the biggest insult to the melech. The fact that you ignored what I want you to do for me. And that's the difference between the two. So we can't say, Vanessa, big deal. Well, that's the important thing. That is a bigger einish for it. But the attitude may be a lot worse than an Essa and a lot. Not every lab, obviously. I sit down and eat chazel on purpose for shtetl. That's going to be a lot bigger thing than my Essa. Okay, now we're going to go to a big union that really encompasses the Torah, probably in most from Eikev on. There's one reference again, I think, in Eschanan too. But they don't see that really a difference. I'm going to talk about Shlishi, which is the bris between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's Ayem Isaiah, we made what? It's what we do. It says, Es Hashem Hemarta Hayom, today you chose God, Liyas L'chol Elokim, to be your God. And what it means to be your God means to follow all his things, not to admit that he is a God or he is the God, but to follow whatever he wants and his recognition to that fact. You see that by Avram Avinu, that he obviously was a very religious man until 99. Everything at 99, the Rabbi Feinstein says, I'm going to make a bris with you, a contract with you, that I should be your God. So until then, he was God, but he wasn't Avram's God. After that time, he became Avram's God because we made a treaty between the two of us. I'm going to do what you want. They're going to take good care of me, whatever it is. So our treaty with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is we're going leches b'drachav, to go in his ways, lishma chukav mitzvaysav, to learn his Torah, lishma b'kailai, which I assume means to listen to the Nevi'im. V'Hashem hemarta hayom liyisrael liyom zgula, and God chose you today to be the Yom Zgula. Now that's the other half of the contract. Kasha dibaloch, like he told you, v'lishma kol mitzvaysav, and you should learn all his mitzvahs. And he'll put you on top of the world, not for your benefit. He'll put you on top of the world to teach the world. That's mainly what's going to put you on top of the world for. It says kol. That word is not in our commitment. We didn't commit to Kol. We committed to follow his ways. We committed to do his mitzvahs, learn his mitzvahs. But we didn't commit ourselves to all, that word all. I'll give you what it means in a minute. We have a Gemara in Makis, the last blot in the Gemara. It talks that there were 613 mitzvahs given in Sinai. And David thought it was a little too much to learn 613. So he put it on 11 general rules. It didn't make it less mitzvahs, I want you to understand. We still had the 613 mitzvahs, and we still had to learn all 613 mitzvahs to know what they are and when they're applicable. But the idea is that if I get the idea, the hashkafa behind them, it's easier to learn it. So he put it on 11 things. Came along Yeshaya and he made it 6. Came along Micha and he made it 3. Came along, oh boy, mentioned it. Huh? The Habakkuk made it 1, but someone made it 2. Whoever was made it 2, and Habakkuk made it 1. We still learn all 613 mitzvahs, but the point, the hashkafa behind it, Tzadik be'manosa yichya, that's what it is. The Ikil's b'tochim, eating the munah, that's the thing that you work on, and you do the mitzvahs, and it'll help you do all of them. What's the difference? We still do the same 613 mitzvahs. And what does it do as far as it's talking about midos? Immediately it says, it says here, the 3 things. One of them goes on God's midos. He's looking to go in his ways. So the klal is that we use mahu rachum afat rachum, mahu chan afat chan. We have to follow. Kadosh Baruch Hu has rachmanos, we gotta have rachmanos and so on. There's another Gemara that says the Rebbeinu Shem did 4 mitzvahs that we know. He clothed the naked by giving Adam Mechaba clothes. He visited the sick, came to Avram. He was Menachem Ovel, came to Yitzchak. And he buried the dead by Moshe Rabbeinu. So therefore, you should follow these 4 mitzvahs. And you should do. Okay, and the general rule is Ma'urachim Batarachim. It probably even includes a lot more things. Ma'urachim Batarachim, whatever it is there. What's the difference between the 2? So I think Lachem Ishgam is the difference. There's a Gemara in Tainus that Lachem Ishgamzu had no hands, had no feet, was blind, had boils all over his body. His bed had to stand in pots of water, the legs, so the bugs couldn't crawl up them because he had no hands to get rid of them, to swat them. His house was caving in, and they had to take him out of the house, so they started to take him out. Because whatever it is, you got to come out first. So he said to them, don't worry, take everything else out of the house. As long as I'm in the house won't fall down. So all of a sudden, this Talmidim realized something fishy here. He must be a tzaddik gomer, if he can say it to such extent, the bishop not going to have the house fall down if I'm in it. So how come you have no hands and no legs and then blind? The boils. So he told him a story. He was coming back, learning there, I think it was. And he had these donkeys behind him with food and everything. And a man came over and asked for food. He saw he was hungry. I'm sure he jumped off with as fast as he could jump. And he ran to wherever his food was. He unpacked it, brought it to the man, and the man was dead. And he took upon himself these einshim, that the feet didn't run, the eyes didn't see, whatever it is, they took it off. What did he do wrong? And he says, and they said to him, Kula high, so much. And he says, if not, my body would have really gotten me if I didn't take this Nel Mazeh. Why? He probably did it as fast as he possibly could. Why did he get an einish for it? Why would he even deserve an einish for it? Why didn't he think about the einish? I assumed that Nochamish Gamazel was one of the people that could have learned the Torah completely the way you're supposed to learn it. What does that mean, learn it the way you're supposed to? If I learned about hunger and understood that hunger can kill a person from 1 minute standing on his feet and then being dead, right? I would always have food next to me in case somebody ever came over to me and needed food. Here it is. I wouldn't have to go unpack it. what he was doing was mahu racham afato racham. I looked at, if I would see a hungry person, I would react to feed him. I would see a naked person, I would react to dress him. But will I make an organization to make sure that he doesn't that there's no naked people in the world? No. But that would be if I understood the mitzvah. Truth is, we see that many organizations in the world that are made for different sicknesses, for different whatever it is there. And usually it's because they had a child like that. They themselves suffered from it and they understood the thing. And all of a sudden, this thing that you never heard of as an association and so on. And obviously there's a lot of people that can belong to that association because they also have the problem. I believe, I say always that Misaskin is probably the only ones that did this. Let's say the four mitzvahs that we spoke about before. Let's say burying the dead. That means we have to have a Chevra Kadisha, right? But let's say, hey, nobody died yet, so what do we need Chevra Kadisha for? So we said all of a sudden the first guy dies. Hey, we have no Chevra Kadisha. What should we do? Okay, you, and you. But we don't know the laws. We don't know nothing. That's going to be the situation if you don't prepare. Right? That's something that can't be. B'Kecholim society, right? And we have B'Kecholim societies. They take care of the patient's simple needs that come out. The person is locked up in a room on a bed, can't get around to walk, can't even talk, assuming they give him all the food he can have. But he's lonely. Nobody comes in to visit him in the B'Kecholim. So there's a kind, if you make a society, so you make sure that people visit, talk to people, whatever it is there. And you take care of their needs. But just to rely on my being able, seeing the problem and therefore reacting to it, that's not going to solve the problems. So I say Misaskin probably was the same way. I'm sure it wasn't one guy. If it was one guy, then he must have been a lot of tzavos. I would say probably it was a group of guys. They got together. We gotta make something for the shiur. Why? Because I noticed the guy sitting on those boxes. You know, you hurt your back. It's so hard to sit on it. Let's make a chair. Young Israel made a chair. Okay, we got a chair, but the chair is a folding chair. It's taka short and it's taka better than the box. It has a back a little bit, but still, that's no good. Got to get it with the arms. You have to have maybe a little softer for certain people. So they haven't got the angle right yet, but if they ever get that, that'll be very good. They took a reeler out around that chair instead of the plastic, what do you call it? You would actually have poches megimel and completely comfortable because the feet would go straight down. The trouble with the feet is you have nowhere to put it. Unless if you have three tochen, yeah, but at least you have the arms, at least you have something. One guy says, oh, was it hot when I sat here? Air conditioning. Boy, was it cold. There were heaters. I didn't have any place. People came in with their coats. They didn't know where to put the coats. Must have coat hangers. Now, the guy needed to drink somebody, you had to go get people drinks, water cooler. These are all things that they bring. Chumoshim, Sidurim, a Sefer Torah. They cover your truck pulls up and it starts out. We should not know these chasodim, but that's what they do. That's would be if you study the mitzvah. But if you're just doing as a reaction, you only react. So you do what you would do at that moment. And at that moment, you don't have the assets and the things that you're able to do. And that's the difference between the two things. So this is the problem here too. Same thing goes with gemachim. When we make gemachim, that's probably for dressing, getting dressed. These things. we only committed ourselves without the Kur. So in case we don't learn the whole Torah, we're trying to, we learn the general rules thing there. That's what we expect from us. Of course, if you're able to do the whole thing, you have to do the whole thing. But at least, but if you can't, you can still impart on the Klal Yisrael. But the Rebbeinu Shalom demanded only to put you on to Mitzvah Elyon, to make it the world should learn from you. He only is if you did Kol. The reason for that is if you did Kol, then people won't die, people won't get sick, because you're doing everything you can to make sure that everybody's healthy and good and everything else. And if you would do that, it would be saved completely. The thing there, but once people die anyway, in other words, since it's only not doing curl, so it's not a perfect situation. People are going to die because you're not ready at that moment, even though you run as fast as you can to fix it up. That doesn't help the guy. He's going to die. So then I can't make you alien because they're not going to see anything. They're just going to see you die here, they die here. They here, they die a little slower than they die over there. That's the only thing you can tell me. But they didn't save anybody's life in reality. Later on in the Sedler, talks about the beginning of the Teichecha. It tells you the brachas. Brachas start like Hatei Chav Ches. It's 6 psukim, first 6 psukim until Shishi, talking about if you made him, those are the brachas that would be chal if you use kol. From Shishi to the end, till the start of the Klolos, is if we don't do kol. Nafkamine between kol is sitchelyin. Not kol, you'll be loish, you'll be on top, you won't be on the bottom, you'll be listening. Now you'll be one of the leaders, but you're not going to be the leader. I'll give you a mushroom what that means and as advertisement goes. I think they just saw about a man once. Okay, a man is in a refrigerator. And at that time, they had the most improvement shaykh in the refrigerator. But in one or two things, they were worse than other companies. By law, they could not say we are the best. Even though in total things that we have the most. But you're not the best because there's two things that we can. On the other hand, toothpaste, which every one of them has fluoride already and everything else, and all type can help you and everything else. Each toothpaste can claim we are the best because we do everything that's shaykh to do. There's no difference one than the other, true, but we're still all the best. Brings in the ovals. And the strange thing about the ovals are, what's the point of them? I mean, to give you no halav, no chanainish. I mean, in Loshen Hora, maybe they keep telling you it's for Koloas and 6 lavin and nesses, whatever it is there. Somehow it sounds like it's a little bit worse, but if I have lavin already and I have esses and I have esses, why do I need a nochamadreg of klolas? And because klolas is what we call klolas a curse. What are you cursing? Guy did the wrong thing. I mean, that's the Einish. We're giving them the Einish for that. So I want to tell you that they are attitudes. Now, I don't remember what he said on every one of them, but we'll try as we go along. The first one is that I'm not open in what I am. I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing. I made a pesel masecha, but I put it baseisa, some baseisa. I hid it. So that fact that you haven't got the guts, that you're doing it by a thing, and you undermine everybody, and they don't know you're undermining them because they think you're a great guy and stuff like that. That is one problem. Someone is mizalzel them, meaning you don't know how close are toiv on your part. Don't feel you owe them anything. They brought you into the world. Without them, you couldn't be here. Yondam ben Hasina, who was a goy, would not wake his father up at loss of money. His mother, he was sitting, he says, among the daily Rome. I must have been a senator of sorts. And his mother, who was a little deranged, came in and started hitting him in the head. And he just sat there and took it. Didn't tell, get this nutty lady off me or something like that. Of course, they brought him in. I should Meshuggah now. She's Meshuggah now. What can I do? I'll try to take care of her as much as I can. Over Masigula, I cheat you when you don't even know you're being cheated. I'll give you a mushal. Modern times, I'll give you a mushal. There it meant I moved the boundary line from here to here. This is a law all over in the whole world, as far as I know, in the United States for sure. If I did that by accident, I happened to move my fence a little bit. We had it in camp, where the actual base measure is built, something like that. Some will say it was technically once the other guy's land. But by the time we bought it, the guy already lost that land to the guy who sold it to us because you have 6 or 7 years or something like that, and no one's ma'ila on it. It belongs to you. Even though the guy has a deed. Shelman Farish is it. No one says otherwise. It's his. That's when you move the fence. So as everyone knows there's a fence. I think we had the Shaili on. By the house, there's a white marker by the blue house that's part of what we own there. It is. As far as a practical case, you're not allowed to go open a business with someone else in competition with another business unless there's enough for 2 businesses. And this thing, I know in the Sat mill in Monroe have it very good under pat that they will give reshus for another grocery store or something to open when they see the population is doubled or whatever it is, and they need it. And on the other hand, you can't take advantage of it. Like let's say a guy would do, I have a grocery store. Why should I? I'm the only one that's allowed to be here because place has to go. I'm the great. So if that's the case, I don't have to have 6 checkout counters. I'll have 1 checkout counter. You have to stand in the line for 2 hours. That's not my fault. Right? I only have 1 checkout counter. Such a case, obviously, there'll be mati, about the second grocery store, but that's not the issue. The issue is it's not made to take advantage of people, but obviously sometimes there's an area which can't support 2. So we have such a mice happened to one of our guys. He had a store, Svarm store. And the guy opened up a Svarm store half a block away. So he went to him and he, I got a Svarm store right over there. He says, you don't believe in God? Of course, the guy got very defensive. Of course I believe in God. Yeah, well, you know that Zainaiso Shaladam is Kitsuvim like Rosh Hashanah? Yeah. So I just made your life easier for you. You're going to get the same money anyway. You're going to have to work only half the time. Yeah. And I heard if somebody actually believes this. And it could be true. But it doesn't mean what I just said. He came to me and asked me, the guy's saying is right. So what's the time of Lesasigo? I have to do ishtadlus to make the money that the Beishim is going to on me. It doesn't come to me. It's not going to go in my lap. I have to put in a certain ishtadlus, and the Benshul will give me that money for that ishtadlus. If I don't put in the ishtadlus, I'm not going to get it. So I wanted to be a Svarim store. And maybe the first year, maybe I got away with it because at that time he was doing the ishtadlus, he was doing it, someone else came in and took away part of the ishtadlus. But let's say the second year, your Svarim store is not going to make enough money for you to live on. So how are you going to make money? So what are you going to do? You're going to become a Judaic store instead of a Svarim store. And I don't want to be a Judaic store. I want to be a Svarim store. And in the mountains, there is a Svarim store. Not the one that we know about, but there's in Woodbridge, a Svarim store. And that's a Judaic store that also sells toys, bubbles, and things of that sort. Anything it takes to make a living. I'll sell anything I can get because I'm forced to do that. I have a store, I have room, so why shouldn't I take in other items? But Lamais, is that what I want to do? No, I want to be a Svarim store. And I was the only Svarim store on the block. Why did you stop me? Why did you make me now become a Svarim store? That's my time. Not that I'm going to lose money. Not negated to lose money. If I don't do anything, I won't get the money. But assuming I will do, but I don't want to do that. So that's the taina on him. Yeah, or mashkin, either baderech, that's fooling people. Take advantage, bad advice. No black and white issue on it, but the attitude taken. Oromata mishpat geyos ma'amona. Now, as you figure those are the weaklings, nobody's there to defend them. I can take advantage of them. That's also a midah. That's like I'm making myself equal to my father. In other words, my father is nobody anymore because I got his wife, his thing, his thing. I took it, and that's itself the bad attitude. In other words, I don't have that covet. I don't have that thinking of a door on top of me. I'll give you a marshal. When your parents die, both of them, you become the Yosef, a real Yosef, but you also become the older generation. You don't have any allegiance to anyone above you anymore. I don't have to ask anybody's permission anymore. I'm the boss. Right? I don't want that responsibility, but that's what happens when you lose your parents. You are now the elder generation. Everybody looks to you for advice. There's no one thing I say, well, what do you ask me? Go ask Eddie. I think there's no such thing. You're it. So there's an Indian of having someone above you. I take away that covet, that respect, that I feel I'm doing this, so I don't have that feeling anymore. Against it's against Peta, against all these other things. Now I'm not talking about that. You can't be cruel to animals. But the fact is that I made an animal equal to a human. That's the thing. I'm willing to live with the animal just like I live with a human. I'm using the thing that I was using for a human, I use it for an animal. That means I say an animal is equal to me, or I'm equal to the animal. That's a bizoyan. And we know stories of that with Hitler, Yimach Shmoy. Supposedly when they were taking people to Auschwitz, or the other places, they would have pets. The German ASPCA would come along and collect all those pets. So because there were no one to take care of them if we execute them. So we have to be nice to the pets. The truth is, I don't remember what I said on that one. I think that one I don't remember. Oh, Sheikhivim Chisante, that's his mother-in-law. That's a thing, of course, it's the bizoyin to his wife. That here she didn't think you, and you brought in her mother into the issue. It's a bizoyin to the wife, and it definitely the whole concept of marriage, whatever it is, it's figure out other than just cheating. It's a point that your mother is like you, and therefore you really don't have to be respectful to your mother anymore. He's just like you. I can live with both of you. It's a big design. You know, of course, I heard somebody with how to help not making sure that he doesn't know you are. And all the in other words, with money, with sheikhat, a covered, it could be anything in these type of stuff. Your taiva for them outweighs your concept of justice. And therefore, you're going to go and you're going to kill a damnoki, which is damnoki. You don't want to go around killing damnoki, but they paid me off. And I'm going to do it, even though I know the guy's lucky. Okay, and then all doesn't mean a combination of all of these things. It means that you don't make the possibility to keep the Torah. Now, the Torah has 630 mitzvahs, you have to make to keep the Torah. In the Torah, just as to got 2 minutes to go. In the Torah, there are 3 madrigas. You got to check into them what they mean. One is, I didn't learn enough to be able to do all the mitzvahs. That's the first madriga. I'm not learning, I didn't learn enough because I'm a shogig. I'm not learning in a way that I can be mekayim all the mitzvahs. Well, we say it's 10 grand a year, 15 grand a year, and let's go. It's meaningless. So that comes the first teichah. The second one comes because he didn't do the simcha. He took labor. Happy being a Jew. Okay, and they got another matter if you're not. Third one is if you don't have fear from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, period. In other words, not negate. And that brings to the last ones, which unfortunately include Hitler and things. Call our clothes such a luxury, but safe as that. Everything you can't even imagine. That's what's going to happen to you. One of the things they just mentioned is say in this teichah and say in the Chukei say, it tells you that the only time that a Yid doesn't have or has fear from a goy is in Eretz Yivechem, in Golus. And in Golus, you'll have one by the Nazis, why didn't they just rush him? Why didn't they just kill him? Why didn't they do like they did on the plane to Pennsylvania when they get to the Pentagon, whatever it was there, the White House, and what they were going to do. So why did they do that? You're going to die anyway. So 50 will die, 100 will die. Abulamaisi will kill all the Nazis and we're all free. There's only 20 Nazis here. Okay, the first ones were fooled. But after that, they know. So why did they do that? That's fear. They can't move. We're mobilized with fear. That's why I think the Israelis, it was they asked this question, and they knew after the war, like, why did they do that? Because they don't understand fear. An Israeli lives in Eretz Yisrael. He doesn't understand fear of a goy. And therefore, we have 15 goyim, so it's 15 guys against me. I think I'm smarter than them. I'll beat them all up. I don't have fear. That's the difference. So this that they make fun of kindness or whatever it is about the Jews in Europe, it's a narrow. The thing is there. Good Shabbos, everybody.
Good Erev Shabbos, Rabbi.
Good Shabbos, Rabbi.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Shabbos, Daddy. Talk to you
Shabbos,
later.
Rabbi.
Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Shabbos, Rabbi.